So many of you already have the text, this one, this beautiful text. Okay, this is good. So we discussed a little bit about preciousness of human life and impermanence, including death. Right? Impermanence means impermanent does not mean just death and decay. It primarily means change. So is it good to be impermanent or permanent? Huh? 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 What? Which one you would prefer?
If you're permanent, you're dead.
Impermanent. Are you sure? You prefer death? Sure. Just saying it or?
It's not good, it's not bad, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, just the way it is. But which one you would prefer?
I mean, if we would say permanent, then we would all be stuck in suffering. So I guess impermanence is the safer option.
True. So that's why I was saying, impermanence does not mean just death and decay. So impermanence means change. Because things are impermanent, especially the conditioned things are impermanent, things can change. The best example that I give is example of a surfer, swimmer. A surfer, a good swimmer, knows the waves, how to ride on the waves, disappear, come back again. It's amazing. I don't know swimming, so I don't know swimming, but I know how to float. So that's okay, right?
If you're a man, it's
If you don't know how to swim, you should know how to float. I know that. So I don't get drunk.
So this gives people time to rescue you.
Yes, it is time to give time to people to rescue me. Yeah. So for me, this is a very good example. If you know how to swim, then the rising waves are not a problem. Changing waves are not a problem because you know how to go with the flow. So this is a very common phrase that we use, go with the flow. So meaning if you know the change, good change, bad change, and the possibilities to change, then go with the flow here doesn't mean that you just sit there like a zombie and since I am carried away anyway, let me be carried wherever it is. We are not saying that. Basically, so make sure that you go in the right flow, the right direction. Because this change gives you the flexibility, the possibility to become better. This is really great news. Similarly, emptiness, when we say emptiness means things having no independent existence. Contrarily, if things have independent existence, things are permanent, then as you mentioned, we are stuck. Nothing we can do. If everything is wonderful and good and perfect, then it's good, permanent, good. But we are not like that. We have so many problems, difficulties, and on top of that, if you are permanent and existing independently, then there's nothing you can do. But at least that is not the case. We can change things. Right? We can change things. Can we change things? The other day I give you the example of the nature of matter and mind. The mind's infinite possibilities to change. That's really good news. The bad news is that because mind is something that is not striking and it's not physical, therefore we tend to ignore it. So now my appeal and request is to myself and to all of you is pay attention to this thing called mind. Even though it may not be striking and visible, but it is going to rule you, it is going to control you. And if you don't take care of the mind, you will become a slave to the negative dictates of the mind, and forever you will be in problem. Forever. Because when we talk about the prison of cyclic existence, we are basically talking about in a prison. We are in a prison where you can't see the prisoner, where you can't see the doors and the locks and you see nothing, but still you are entrapped. So it's a very difficult situation. Anybody watch this movie called The Matrix?
Yeah.
How many of you? You watched it? I heard about it. I just got a quick glimpse. I didn't watch it, but I read about it. So if you watch that movie, which one did you prefer? The red pill and the blue pill? Right. So so this clearly says we are a prison of our own making. So there it is important to prefer the red pill and see the possibilities of coming out from that prison through one's own effort, not by any other means. So you're in charge. You're in charge. You can do it. You can be aware. And don't get bogged down just in the past, just in the future. Use the present moment. We need to do some planning for the future also, but don't get bogged down there. As they say, past is history. We can learn a little bit from there, but there's no point just always going in the past. Oh, 10 years back, he did this to me. I know one Tibetan lady, actually very close to me. Every time I meet her, she always tells the same story that happened 20 years back. That time I had the accident, I nearly died, then she would cry. Really, no point. You learn something, okay, this is something that you experience, you can say, but don't get just bogged down. And I saw this in many people. They keep on telling the same thing again and again, and then feel miserable. So past is history. Learn a little bit, but don't get bogged down there. Future is a mystery. Nobody can really predict it. While we do some planning, may be necessary. So they say past is history, future is mystery, present. Now is the gift. Today is the gift. Therefore it is called present. Gift, present. Some people say something like that. It's interesting how they put it. Right? So therefore, well, I'm not saying that don't learn anything from the past, don't plan for the future. I'm not saying that you need to do a little bit of that, which is important. And in Buddhism, in fact, we talk about making many lives planning. This is important. But this doesn't mean to say that you forget now. This is the problem with all of us. We work so hard, go to university, in the school. How many years we spent in the school? 12 years at least, 11, 12 years. Then in the university, another 4 or 5 years. Quarter of life is already gone. Then still you're not sure what is that you want. Right? Then marriage. Then after that business and things like that. You're just thinking about future, not being able to enjoy right now. That's the problem. That's the problem, right? Burning question? Yes.
Yes, that's exactly the thing when you look around what's happening in the world, and it's almost like, okay, I feel privileged now to be in a situation, I have all to actually be happy. At the same time, I'm almost a bit guilty to be so happy because I'm in a good situation.
The world is so bad that it feels wrong to be happy in the face of so much misery around you.
What is wrong to be happy?
I didn't ask it.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't it wrong to be happy when there's so much suffering? Right? Something like that.
Yes,
Guilty. This is exactly the question our young Tibetan friend asked me during the lunch. After the lunch, I know him, he's very interested, so he asked me this kind of question, you know. That's the difference between us and the enlightened beings. The enlightened beings, while they are ready to help others as much as possible in alleviating their suffering, but they themselves don't get stuck in the quagmire of suffering. That doesn't mean they rejoice, oh, others suffering, no. But they know. Therefore, this famous verse, which I think most of you know, if it is something you can change, don't worry because you can change. If it is something you can't change, no use worrying, because by worrying you can't change it. That's the thing. And the problem with us is we worry about all those things where we can do nothing. When there's an opportunity to do something, we don't do. For example, with the family members. When we are all alive and living together, we are not so nice to each other. Before marriage, yes, very nice. Especially honeymoon, the honeymoon, very nice. And after marriage, gradually the excitement ends, right? Then, unfortunately, it's not so nice. Then, gradually, when somebody dies, then you shed your crocodile tear. No use, right? So especially if you are to help others, you need to be a little bit different from those other people who are suffering, who are unable to think, who are unable to help themselves. If you also join that group, how can you help? Right? So it is important that instead of feeling overwhelmed by seeing the sufferings of others, you should show sense of responsibility. You should have concern. You should have some feeling of uneasiness, not suffering. There is a difference. When you experience suffering due to negative emotions, then sufferings will jolt you, your whole being. They shake your whole being, because it is rooted in negative emotions and misconceptions. But when you feel this sense of concern and little bit frustration or uneasiness, when you see suffering of others, it is voluntary, it is intentional. That feeling of little bit of unhappiness is only on the surface. It's like a big ocean. On the surface there is some small waves, but deep down it's calm. So you are able to help others. But when, in our ordinary case, when we get the suffering out of negative emotion, then the whole thing is disturbed. So that's the difference. That's the difference. Okay. So, what was it that I was saying?
There's a question here.
Huh?
I had a question
Okay.
about permanence and impermanence.
So we'll spend all the days asking questions and answers. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Earlier, I think this lovely woman in front of me had asked, because you had said there are permanent.
Uh-huh.
You had said that there are permanent and impermanent things.
Yeah.
And she had asked, what is the
Yeah.
And you said whiteness or
Emptiness, yeah.
or somethingness.
Yeah.
In that same way, could you say, like, so a cat or a dog is something impermanent, because
Yeah.
it's the designation,
Yeah.
but the quality or being of the cat or
Yeah.
dog is
Yeah.
permanent, and
Yeah.
it's the nature of it.
Yes.
Okay, I have one more question.
Not because of designated. Designated, everything designated. Impermanent phenomena, permanent phenomena, everything designated. Without designation, without giving a label, without giving a name, there's no way we can identify anything.
Okay.
Okay?
And in the same way that he was asking earlier about the emptiness of the mind, and you were saying it's changing, right? Because it has these causes and conditions that affect the mind and cause it to change throughout time. But then you gave the definition of mind, which I'm assuming is maybe bigger than our little human mind or conditioned mind, as luminous and knowing.
Cognitive, yes.
Would this be like the permanent quality of the bigger mind is luminous knowing?
I would not call it permanent quality. I would instead call it inherent quality. Inherent quality.
Okay.
Because there is no connotation of, never changing. There is connotation of change. But it is there right from the birth. This cognitivity, luminosity is there right from the birth.
Mm.
All right? So we discussed a little bit about the preciousness of human life. It's very precious, but it is impermanent. It's not going to stay forever. We discussed things like that. So here, one point that we need to really think is what it means to be a human being. Because to make a long story short, we need to really become a real human being. Not just a label. So what it means to be a human being? Somebody who walks, stands up, and walk on the 2 feet, a hands free. Does that qualify somebody as a human being? Huh?
Conscience.
Huh?
Having a conscience.
Conscience. Having a conscience. So so in other words, what am I asking is, how are we to examine the porous boundary between the human and the animal?
Porous.
Porous means,
Like a soul.
Discriminative wisdom.
yeah, invisible boundary,
Yes.
unclear
Discriminative
boundary.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So many animals also have consciousness. Conscience, I don't know.
The ability to decide what is right and wrong for you.
In that case, what about infants, human, little children?
That part of the brain is still growing for them. Eventually,
I don't care. I don't care whether it's growing or not growing. My question is that little child a human being or not a human being? So things like that. We don't need to answer everything.
You have choice.
Huh?
Human being has choice.
not a baby.
Choice.
Choice also, some animals, they make choice.
Human beings have imaginations.
They also have imagination. I mean, not like human beings, but they do have.
Could you say intelligence beyond instincts?
Huh?
Intelligence beyond instincts?
Intelligence
Beyond our instincts?
beyond?
Instincts.
Instincts.
Beyond instinctive. That also I may say some animals may have it.
Self-awareness?
Huh?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. This is, scientists did a test on this. Some animals have their self-awareness.
To change your own
Huh?
destiny,
Huh?
to change your own destiny by positive thinking.
So, I don't need a definitive answer, but my point is, We need to know this. Is this English word human? What is the meaning of this word human? Somewhere I vaguely remember, somewhere I read it is a connotation of having value. Is that so? No, I forgot.
It's from Homo sapiens,
Yeah.
which means man and intelligence, and knowing. Those two Latin words, if you put them together. That's our scientific
Intelligence
name. And like human and Homo means man.
yes.
So that's how we get human from Homo sapiens. But that's all I know about what it means.
Yeah.
I've got a slightly different definition.
Yeah.
If you subdivide human into hu and man, hu comes from the word humus, which means from the ground, and man, the ancient Sanskrit word mind, so mind which comes from the ground.
Okay. Mind which comes from the ground, the animals also. Yeah, mind also comes from the ground. There is a interesting definition in the Tibetan text where it says Mashi Trankova. Can you say that? Mashi.
Mashi.
Trankova. Oh, your Tibetan is so good. Mashi means somebody who has the language to speak, make it understandable to others, to be able to speak, to have the proper language and capacity to understand things. This is a rough definition. So anyway, the important thing is, in Hindi we have this word called Purush. For person, for individuals, we have the word Purush, which means somebody having the capacity, ability. Ability here means ability to benefit others, to do something good. Right? So therefore I think it will be useful, interesting to trace this a little bit out, so that we know what is our real nature, how we should live, what is our specialty, right? That is important. But yeah.
Many other creatures have a lot of our similar qualities, even mental ones, like whales do and gorillas do. But one thing that people have that I don't think other creatures have is like this restless seeking. Like we always are trying to find something. We have a sense that there's more. We aren't content to swim in the ocean or do our thing. We want something else. Or I think most people do anyway, and they don't even define it.
But you know, many thinkers, they give many different definitions. Then at the end they say, many of these differences are just degree. So some animals, they are also very curious. They always look like this and see what is happening, especially if they are to catch something, they are very, yeah. So that's why in complex and sometimes contradictory ways, the ideas, values and practices used to justify the sovereignty of a particular understanding of the human over the rest of sentient life are what creates society and social life. Perhaps the very concept of culture, the unique thing, the very concept of culture is an attempt to differentiate ourselves from our creatureliness, our fleshy vulnerability. One scholar says, intellectual ability, as somebody mentioned, self-consciousness, private property, tool-making, language, the possession of soul, and many more. This is one definition. Aristotle, in the 4th century BC, he said, the power of speech is intended to set forth the expedient and inexpedient, and therefore likewise the just and the unjust. and it is a characteristic of man that he alone has any sense of good and evil, or just and unjust, and the like, and the association of living beings who have the sense makes the family and the state. Then in the 17th century, René Descartes made this famous statement, cogito ergo sum. I think therefore I am. Right? Implied only humans possess minds, and argued animals were automata, moving machines, driven by instinct alone. Then in the 18th century, German philosopher Immanuel Kant, for him rationality was the litmus test of humanity, embedded in his categorical claim that the human being was an animal endowed with the capacity of reason. Right? The humans is markedly distinguished from all other living beings by his, according to some, three things, but they are distinguished from all other living beings by, number one, technical predisposition for manipulating things mechanically, joined with consciousness. Second, by his pragmatic predisposition to use other human beings skillfully for his purposes. And third, moral predisposition in his being to treat himself and others according to the principle of freedom under the laws. Right? Then according to Darwin, in his book The Descent of Man, the difference in mind between man and the higher animals, great as it is certainly one of degree and not of kind. We have seen that the senses and intuitions, the various emotions and faculties such as love, memory, attention, curiosity, imitation, reason, etc., of which man boasts, may be found in an incipient or even sometimes in a well-developed condition in the lower animals. Darwin's concern was echoed quantitatively by Jared Diamond in 1990s in his The Third Chimpanzee. In fact, one of my friends living in Atlanta, he has written a book on the primates. So here in this book, The Third Chimpanzee, he wondered how the 2.9% genetic difference between two kinds of birds, just 2.9% made a genetic difference between two kinds of birds. Or the 2.2% difference between two gibbons made for a different species. If this is the case, then why just 1.6% difference between humans and chimpanzees makes a different genus? So these are interesting things to think about, right? And then, as I mentioned, according to Bertrand Russell, who in his Humanitarianism and Freedom book observed a difficult paradox of any definition. He said, deny reason to animals and you must equally deny it to infants. Affirm the existence of an immortal soul in your baby or yourself, and you must at least have the grace to allow something of the kind to your dog. Then in 2001, Jacques Derrida articulated a similar concern. None of the traits by which the most authorized philosophy or culture has thought it possible to recognize this proper of man, none of them is in all rigor the exclusive reserve of what we humans call human. Either because some animals say possess such traits, or because man does not possess it as surely as it is claimed. But having said all this, we do know that we are different from animals in many, many aspects, not just one, in many, many areas. So therefore, it is not just the differences on which we should lay emphasis, but we should lay emphasis on those special capacities by which we can bring harmony, peace, happiness all over the globe. As I mentioned earlier, one is the great presence of human intelligence and brain, which others also have, but not so much. Human beings possess the biggest brain relative to the size of the body. Right? So this brain, because of this amazing brain or intelligence, we are able to come up with so many things. But the problem is, our intelligence got corrupted. Because of this, we misuse the intelligence for fun, for fleeting pleasures, for destructive things, not so much for constructive things, especially, yes, in construction like houses and things like that are there, but not so much in terms of making good human beings. And there is one reason His Holiness Dalai Lama is pursuing rigorously dialogue between Buddhism and science, and thereby between spirituality and science. Because any human activity must benefit human beings, at least. Right? So, it's important to know what it means to be a human being, and we should try to live a little bit better than animals. Right? And certainly not worse than animals. To make a long story short, that is our job and our responsibility.
There is actually a very good sociologist from Yale University. She did research to see what is the difference, and she found that in the presence of money, we lose humanity. I mean, it's a TED talk by Laurie Sanders. So we become irrational in the presence of money, and she proved it using monkeys. Monkeys have no concept of money. She started giving money, and their brains became corrupt.
True. There's a similar teaching in Buddhism that we have not removed the afflictive emotions from us, and the attractive objects are there. And our improper way of engaging with the object is also there. So all the causes and conditions for developing negative emotions are there intact. Right? So therefore, as I was saying, meditation is necessary to change this course of thinking and course of flow. So unless you really... That's why in Buddhism, when we talk about studying Buddhism, we explain it through three processes. Listening, contemplation and meditation. We should understand the object, the subject, object, whatever, really properly. And then the usefulness or destructiveness of that, you should understand it properly. Then having understood that properly, you should implement it. Practice in your daily life. Then there is hope to change it. For example, giving my example, Milarepa. As you mentioned, most of us, when we see the money or whatever, then we lose our reason and control. But those who really have seen the essencelessness of many of these fleeting pleasures, like Milarepa, abandoned everything. Everything means everything. And remained naked in a snow mountain in Tibet, which it's difficult for us to believe, right? But fortunately, I personally met some of the meditators meditators who were students of another great Tibetan teacher who left Tibet, came into exile and spent his time in Dalhousie, not very far from here. And he also has this nickname called Modern Milarepa. And he's an amazing scholar, and on the final days of his exam, he ran away. All this exam, recognition, paper, this I did not study for this. I have no attachment to this. So he taught and meditated, wrote maybe some articles or pieces, something like that, in theology. And there is a seat prepared from mud and other things where he used to give teaching. I saw that. More importantly, I saw, I think now 4 or 5 of his disciples. 4 monks and 1 nun. One monk was his actual brother. So when I was a student in theology, my teacher, who is still alive in Devu Monastery, he is now nearing 100 years old. So he asked me, he was our spiritual instructor, he asked me to come with him to interpret that British lady who wanted to make some offering to these monks. So I went with them. And I won't believe, I feel so, I have so much regret that I didn't have a camera or take any photo, things like that. But they were staying in stone piled kind of houses with a canvas roof, and inside, except the worn out old clothes which they were wrapping around themselves, apart from that they had nothing. I've seen it, not just one, not just 2, 5 of them. And then the local people, they offer some lunch or something. And some people, without knowing, they sometimes uncooked, they take some uncooked food and give it there, it will rot there. They'll not pay any attention to those things. I've seen it. So the point I'm making is, it is possible. If you really understand the futility of many of the things after which we run, if you really understand it, you will do less running. Yeah.
If we have like Buddha mind and it's very pure and the negative emotions and the negative tendencies are not part of it really, they can be stripped away.
Yeah.
But the actual good, virtuous elements, qualities are part of the Buddha mind. They are the Buddha mind. Why aren't we more drawn to the good qualities? Why do we have all this negative stuff to get rid of, and why haven't we just become great?
This is a question many people ask, and I myself asked this question to some leading Tibetan scholars living in South. So they more or less they all said the same thing, because we are habituated with this for so many lives. But again, for me that doesn't answer. Again, the question is why we are habituated with the negative things all your lives. One of the books that I read quite recently, very good book. So that says the reason is because we were animals in the beginning. We were animals in the beginning. When we were animals, there is no concept of doing good things, practicing love, practicing compassion. As somebody mentioned, all you do is fight and flight. If you can fight, fight. If you can't fight, run away. And then have sex, produce children. That's all the animals do. We have inherited that brain. So therefore we are doing these negative things more easily than the other things. That actually gives a very good answer. Okay, so human life is very precious, but it is impermanent. It's going to go. When we are going to go, nobody knows. Therefore, right now it is the time to do something good, so that you don't regret. If you look back how we spent our life in the past 20, 30, 40 years, you will realize that yes, I did something good, but most of the time I did something wrong or not so useful. If that is there, then this is the time to bring about some changes. So I'm not saying you are bad, but you can become even better. Because the thing is, this is my repeated encounter with people, majority of the people all over the world, Of course they suffer from poverty, other problems. But much of the problem is due to lack of knowledge, ignorance. So therefore, helping them or changing our own attitude can reduce many of these, especially men sufferings and problems very easily. That is the thing. If that's not happening, then why should we talk about this practice? Why should we waste time? Right? So it is in this context that we need to ask this very pertinent question. What is the meaning of human life? What is it there that you are looking for? What really is that you are looking for? What is it that you want to achieve? I'm not bringing Buddhism or anything like that, just asking. You have been living, you have been doing something. So what was it that you really wanted to do? If there's one thing that you really thought important, what is it that you thought is important? Have you achieved it? Or are you moving towards that goal? That is important. Because in the case of most of us, again we go with the flow. That means not necessarily good flow. Go with the flow. We are majority of people going, oh yeah, I do this because this is what everybody wants. This is what everybody does. Especially under this idea of democracy, majority is so important. But the problem is majority are ignorant, or in a good sense, they are innocent, don't know much, right? So that's why we have two definitions of, not two, but proper definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people, if people are intelligent and enlightened, educated. If not, government of the cattle, by the cattle, for the cattle. And that is called mobocracy, which is really happening. Mobocracy, plus blind faith towards different religions, and that the politicians use it. And who is suffering? Ordinary people. Ordinary people, in the name of religion, they go to the state, kill each other, fight each other. Are they joined by the leaders? Where are the sons and daughters of these political leaders? They are studying in America or Europe or somewhere. They are having a nice time. Am I right or wrong? Really? This is the case. So therefore, education, awakening among the masses is really, really important. Very, very important. So therefore, in the case of Buddhist practice, is also mindfulness, awareness, awakening. The very name of the Buddha. Buddha means somebody who is fully awake. Buddha means Buddha. Somebody who is fully awake. And that means the rest of us are not awake. We are sleeping. Sleeping where? Sleeping in ignorance. Because of that we suffer. So therefore the reason we should study this text is to come out of that ignorance, that short-sightedness, that narrow-mindedness. And your life can be 100% better, I guarantee. If you develop more awareness and practice it, a little bit, we will not get enlightened in one day. There is no push button enlightenment, but that doesn't mean you can't make progress. You can change. Sometimes with just few sentences you change. It hits you hard. This is true. How come I did not have like this before? You change. There's the way. There's the way. Right? And then, all of us can be the messenger for doing those good things. Don't look down upon yourself. Now you already, even before that you must have, because given your interest in these things, I'm sure you had this interest long before, many years before. Is that true? You have this kind of spiritual interest many years before. So that means you already have a lot of knowledge. So that means you have the capacity to guide other people. Not necessarily sitting on a big chair, that's not important. But just sharing your knowledge. This is how we can change the world. And I remember one Western nun, she came to me and she said, Geshe, I have been living in Dharamsala for so many years. There's really not much change in my mind. It's very difficult to bring about any change. What should I do? I said, go back to your country. I said, go back to your country. It may not be because of that. Anyway, she may be going. So she went back. I have no idea. She went back. And then one day she came. She said, Geshe, thank you. I said, for what? I said, I came to see you and ask this question. You said, go back. So at that time I didn't understand. So I went back. When I went back, then I was able to see how much good things that I've developed while staying in Dharamsala. I was able to clearly see that why people are doing like this, why she is doing like this, why he is doing like this, She was able to see so many stupid things people are doing. You see? So you will see the same thing. So you can help. Don't say that you are bad, I am good, I am Buddhist, I am special. That's not the case. Because His Holiness always says, when you study Buddhism, whoever studies Buddhism, don't think about becoming a good Buddhist. The purpose is not to become a good Buddhist. The purpose is to become a good human being. In whatever you are doing. Right? If you are Buddhist, yes, good Buddhist. If you are Christian, good Christian. If you are good carpenter. Right? So that is important. So, precious human life, impermanence, death, and then when we die, we don't disappear into nothingness. This is also a very important question, because most of us think, just like a tree has a time to grow, come with flowers, then after a while it gets, toppled or fall down and die, disappear. That's the end of the story. Human beings are also like that. To some extent it makes sense. Do you think we are like that?
No.
Huh?
No.
What? Who said no? Bold lady. Okay. So at least according to the Buddhist teaching, you don't disappear into nothingness. The death means death of your body, not death of your mind. The mind will continue. How do you know that the mind will continue? This is very important. Because otherwise people say, this is the only life. Enjoy, do whatever you want to do. खाओ पियो मौज मस्ती करो जीवन यही है कल किसने देखा बोलते ना लोग ठीक है ना who has seen tomorrow enjoy that's what people say but unfortunately now many very convincing proofs are coming out of people who remember their past lives so clearly and so vividly. If there's a past life, of course there will be future life. Books have been written. Several books of people remembering their past life. Is that difficult to understand?
Yes.
If that is difficult to understand, I'll explain it to you.
It is difficult to understand.
Not difficult. Not difficult. Listen to me.
I'm a scientist.
Yeah.
And everything is believed or not believed is on the basis of statistics.
Yes.
On the basis of that. My question is that statistically, why not everybody remembers their previous lives?
Yes. Number one, your scientific status is of no use No, not in general. It's of no use. There are many areas of human activity where scientific data is of no use, like beauty, aesthetics. It's not the field. You are primarily science is primarily not you, but science is primarily in material field, physics.
I'm economist just now.
Yeah, physics. I'll tell you this story. For many of you, that this may be interesting. How science came into being. In the beginning, there was only Western philosophy. If we talk about the Western scholarship, there was only Western philosophy. There was nothing called Western, science. So, in the Western philosophy, it covers many topics, including metaphysical topics, whether there's a God or things like that. Then some of the brilliant minds, they said, okay, you ask whether there's a God or not, all these metaphysical questions, but this is similar, a little bit like what the Buddha was saying. They said, but what really concerns us is this life, something that we can see, something that we can feel, something that we can relate to. So let us focus on these things that we can see, that we can show. So they struck the word matter out, and that left physics, metaphysics. So let us not talk about the matter, but talk about the physics. This is how physics came into being. Then physics means the particles, atoms, and all those things primarily. Neuroscience also came much, much later. Biology and all this came much, much later. Now, with this latest scientific discipline, neuroscience and so forth, it is bound to talk about thinking, brain, thinking, like that. The more it discusses about these things, then they discover many interesting phenomena, inexplainable phenomena. For example, they say just for one thinking, they are able to see how many, brain kind of impulses or nerves, whatever you call it, I don't even know the names. How many of these cooperate to do one thinking? Synchronicity. They are able to see that there is this synchronicity, but they are not able to explain why this synchronicity is happening. Now, if you believe in the mind, you can explain that because of this thinking. I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but something like this. So anyway, the point is, science, as you rightly mentioned, is, in science you need data, you need mathematics, something you can calculate, something you can measure, something you can quantify. The things like mind, separate from brain, you can't quantify. And especially the future lives, rebirth, you can't. But the good thing with the scientists, they never say that these things are not there. They say, this is, for the time being, it's not my field of experiment. So they are quite very honest. But I remember a statement by one, I think, American scientist. Many, many years back, I read that book by American lady scientist called Rene Weber. She's American or Europe, I don't know. Rene Weber. She made a statement, which I always remember. She said, the subtler you go to the level of atoms and other physical matters, the closer you come to the mind. It's very interesting. It's a very profound statement. So now with the physics, as you are expert in physics also, there was a time when people used to say, okay, we split these atoms and particles, then finally we split and split, then finally we will find the subtlest one, which we can call the building block of the atom. Yes, we found it. This is the subtlest. We found it. So they of course, with the passage of time, they improved their instrument, method of investigation, everything improved. But today, with all this, equipments and expertise at our disposal, they are not able to pinpoint that fundamental building block. today we are saying through this double slit experiment, today we are talking, I thought this is a particle, it changed into wave. I thought this is wave, it changed into particle. You see? So wave particle duality they are talking about. And in Buddhism, I'm not defending Buddhism anything, I am simply saying what is there. Nagarjuna and other great Madhyamika teachers, they made a statement saying you will never find a partless particle. Long before that, anything that is existent has to have particles, has to have parts. So these are really, really interesting points, but as I was saying, there are phenomena, realities which are still not the field of investigation of science. If you are dependent on instruments and calculations, you can't do that. And then, more interestingly, many of these books are written by scientists, recording the people. They are not doing this or spiritual anything. They are just, recording and telling what they found. And we invited one scientist who has done all this research, Bruce. He came here and made a presentation. So clearly there are many people who remember their past lives. So this makes us think that, when people remember, if all the thinking and everything is done by the brain, then when we die, the whole physical existence, including the brain, is destroyed. Then how these people are able to remember their past lives? And some of these people who remember their past lives are so vivid. So vivid. There are hundreds, in India itself, hundreds, thousands of people who remember their past lives.
Is there anything in common?
Huh?
Is there anything in common with those people that remember their past lives? Any common?
Something, yes, come on.
Like,
For example, in the beginning, when these people who say to remember their past lives are mostly found in India, Sri Lanka, and things like that. So some of the Western scientists, they thought this may be something to do with belief system, with the religious belief system. Then they tried to find such people in the Western countries, in America. They found so many. And the similarity is, people who remember their past lives are normally when they are very, very young, 3-4 ages. That's one feature. Second feature is, people who remember their past lives are mostly those whose death was not natural, but who died through accidents. And then, as to your question, why everybody doesn't remember? If 10 people go to New York, I'm not talking about past life, go to New York, spend 2-3 months there, and come back to India, not everybody will be able to remember the same thing. Everybody has different, memory, different capacity, so they're different. And the reason that not everybody remember is, number one, there is karmic contamination. Number two, when you are born into this world, it is said that the world is already contaminated, polluted. I'm not just saying it. It is in the text. And then you have the biggest pollution when you are in the womb of the mother. The pollution is there. Because of that, you are not able to remember many of these things. But you are able to remember when you are younger, because it's like you just came back from New York yesterday. And with the passage of time, you're not able to remember. Yeah.
But that could also be a factor of the way we do research, Geshe Lhakdor, because when the doctor came to speak at the library and talk about reincarnation, his studies are scientific.
Yeah.
And he has to choose subjects who are uncontaminated by going to school or having a lot of contact with the outside world. So he has to focus on little kids. Yeah. And they have to be a certain age because they have to be somewhat verbal or responsive.
In this case, he did not focus on little children.
He said he couldn't really...
No, those people who remember,
Yeah.
not necessarily just small kids.
Well, but what I mean is it's not necessarily, that's not necessarily the determining factor. We just don't search for it.
Yeah.
No, but how do you experientially realize the knowledge of reincarnation?
Huh?
How do you actually realize the knowledge or the truth of reincarnation?
There are many ways. This is hot topic these days.
Yeah.
This topic on
Yeah.
reincarnation, especially the possible reincarnation of the present Dalai Lama, is hot topic.
Yeah.
Because China is trying to misuse it. So,
Yeah.
in the case of some people, in the case of some genuine reincarnation, they remember everything so vividly. For example, there is one teacher who passed away some years back, Demalochu Rinpoche. He was able to recite one whole text by heart when he was just able to say things, or I don't know which age, without having taught it. Then there are some on the tongue and other places there are scripts, like the syllable ah and other things.
Yeah.
So there are many. Like in the case of His Holiness Dalai Lama, he recognized 16 articles. When the Chinese warlord and some concerned Tibetans, they were trying to see whether His Holiness is the right incarnation or not. They put 16 articles on a big table. 16 articles means 2 walking sticks, looking very similar, 2 small drums, similar, 16 different articles, looking similar. He picked he was I think 4 years or something, very young. He picked everything without mistake, except the walking stick. With the walking stick, he first took the wrong one, looked at it a little bit, then kept it back. And then later on inquiring, found that this walking stick was also with the 13th Dalai Lama for some time. So that was the reason. Then even more interesting, even before that experiment, when the search party came, the senior Lama with some attendant, they came, and then the senior Lama disguised himself, changed his clothes, disguised himself as a servant, and went into the kitchen. The others who were servant and attendants, they wore very nice clothes and went into the main room. But this child, Dalai Lama, he goes straight to the real Lama, pulled the rosary from his neck and also called by his name. Amazing things. This is not peculiar to His Holiness Dalai Lama also, even among, because we don't try to see these things. So even among small kids, you will notice some of this.
But how do we experientially realize this? But how do we experientially
The more
realize
you purify the negative emotions, the more there will be clarity. Yes?
What about reincarnation in animals?
Huh?
Like, you said yesterday that
Reincarnation?
in animals.
That is called rebirth, not reincarnation. Reincarnation, yeah, okay, reincarnation, yes.
Or past life as animals. So the future lives should be or could be as an animals.
Actually, we use the word emanation. A higher being can emanate himself into the form of an animal to help others. There is a story of Buddha emanating himself in the form of a rhinoceros or something. Yeah, when one animal was falling from a deep slope of mountain, then the rhinoceros goes there and protects him, things like that. If you read these past, birth stories, you'll find some of them.
What happens if the human is reborn in a lower realm, like an animal?
Yeah.
Then what?
Then he's an animal.
Okay.
Then nothing. So here the Darwin's, evolution doesn't apply. There is no constant natural evolution, becoming better, no, according to Buddhism, no. You take rebirth according to what you do.
But how do you
So now here in this case, don't even think about future lives. Think about this very life. If you engage in excessive drinking, stealing, in this very life you will go down. live like an animal.
How would an animal then go up to human realm? Like it has to be a very,
Very good question.
dog, and then you get
Very good question. No. That's why we say, make sure you are not born as an animal. Okay, so listen. Don't give up hope. So we say, make sure that you take birth as a human being and do all these good things and make steady progress. And make sure that you are not born as an animal, things like that. But still, we don't say animals have no hope, because we say all sentient beings have Buddha nature. All sentient beings have Buddha nature means they have consciousness, they have mind. That's one thing. The second, in the stream of one consciousness, just like my consciousness right now, there are so many imprints, habits left in my earlier lives. Positive imprints, negative imprints. So luckily this time the positive imprints got activated. I am born as a human being. Then with the passage of time, it is also possible the negative, habits become stronger, born as an animal. Like that. Not very convincing. Yeah.
So what about the emanation?
Emanation. Emanation, we say the Buddhas, with their power, they can emanate himself into many forms, depending on what people need. They can emanate as a piece of bread for somebody who is hungry. But when this hungry person eats the bread, don't think you're eating Buddha. It's just emanation. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could talk a bit about the 10 non-virtues, because we were talking about...
We are coming there tomorrow. So thank you for reminding. Let us proceed with this text. Otherwise we are just talking. So, preciousness of human life, very precious, but impermanent, it will die. And when we die, what will be the consequence? The consequence will be good and bad depending upon what you do. If it is good, no problem. If it is bad, then problem. Therefore we need to think about the possible sufferings. Possible sufferings that we encounter today and possible sufferings that you might encounter after you die. So now here we should talk a little bit about suffering, which actually comes later also. So let us think about the karma. So normally, when you meditate on preciousness of human life, then on impermanence of death. Okay, if I die, or if I get problem, what should I do? Then the next topic is you take refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So here normally we discuss a little bit about Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, three objects of refuge. But there's no need to explain it in detail. It is basically saying you need a really good teacher to guide you, to show you the path. And follow his teaching. Dharma means teaching. Follow his teaching. Then in order to practice and live with his teaching, it is important that you are surrounded by like-minded people. Sangha. Otherwise, it is very difficult for you to practice. Right? People may say, "Aap kya pagal ho raha hai aajkal?" Sometimes they say, if you do a lot of practice, they say, "You want to become monk or nun," something like that. They see it like very useless or funny. Why at such a young age you are doing this? People say things like that. So it's important to have proper atmosphere, support.
Geshe Lhakdor.
Yeah.
How does Buddhism consider the Sangha on one hand and Buddha saying be your own refuge, be your own island?
The ultimate refuge is yourself. That doesn't mean you can't take help from others. Right? The ultimate refuge is Buddha and yourself. But you need support. Okay. So now let us think a little bit about karma. Page 59. Right. Generating faith, the source of all happiness. Generating faith means faith in the law of causality. Not just law of causality, but infallibility of law of causality. I use the word infallibility because there is no cheating here. Whatever you do, you will have to reap the fruit. It's not like law of karma, it's not like police. Right? Police, you can cheat them. You can fool them. But law of karma, you can't cheat. Whatever you do, it leaves an imprint on your mind, right? And then with passage of time, it gets activated when it encounters the needed, factors. This has three parts: contemplating the general presentation of karma, contemplating in particular, engaging and abandoning after contemplation. Number one, contemplating the general presentation of karma. This is two parts: actual contemplation of karma in general, contemplation of individual karma. Actual contemplation of karma in general. This is important. Now think here. This has four parts. The definiteness or certainty of karma. That means you do something, then it's certain, it's definite, it will bring the fruit. You have to face the consequences. There's no cheating, as I was saying. The increasing nature of karma. Increasing nature of karma means that don't think that this is a really small, minor negative deed. It will have no effect to me. You may be doing something very small, very negative, but it will increase. Just like a seed of a tree. You plant a small seed and it grows into a big tree. The karma that is not created has no result. There is no karma which is created and has no result. It's not possible. And once karma created, don't think it will go waste. The certainty of karma. So I don't have to explain anything. This is so good. so that I employ some techniques, survival techniques, right? The certainty of karma. Even a minute of happiness is caused by. So this is so good. You see, for example, when I asked you, are you all happy? Everybody said happy, right? So here he's saying, even a minute of happiness is caused by positive deeds and can never be caused by negative deeds. So that means when you say you are happy here these days, this is a result of you having done something good in the past. Past means not necessarily past life, some past month or planning or whatever, you did something good. That's why you are enjoying. And then if you think carefully, the benefit that you hopefully, not because I'm teaching, but because the teaching is important, not just me. And then you, as a Sangha, coming together. I hope and expect that the benefit that you get from this gathering will last for the rest of your life. And the organizers also organize in such a way that it is not that expensive. Right? You are not spending like several thousands of dollars or even several thousands of rupees, like staying in a hotel, big hotel in Delhi and things like that. Right? So, consider this very privileged, very special. Even a minute of happiness is caused by positive deeds and can never be caused by negative deeds. In the same way, even a minute of suffering is caused by negative deeds, never be by positive deeds. This is, if you ask why this is so, because it is the way it is. It's the law of nature. If you plant a mango seed, it will bring mango fruit, not orange fruit. This is the law of nature. Therefore, happiness and suffering do not arise without causes and are not made by substantially different causes, such as worldly gods like Shiva and Vishnu. Sorry to say that now. This is here in the text, you know. So they are created, not created by God, according to Buddhism. Right? All the virtuous and non-virtuous deeds we commit lead to all the happiness and suffering we experience. Each act of virtue and non-virtue causes corresponding outcome. There is no fluctuating or deceiving the causes and their effects. To find certainty in this is to find the excellent view of every Buddhist, which is praised as the foundation of all wholesome phenomena. So that means developing this conviction in the infallibility of law of causality is really the foundation of Buddhist practice. If I do good, I will have good. If I do bad, I will have bad. Conviction hona chahiye. There must be this conviction. And developing that conviction is not easy. For example, you will say, with your superficial understanding, you will say, this man has almost all his life doing bad thing. But see how rich he is. See how he is driving a Mercedes car. People say these things. But this is because of not properly understanding the complexity of the law of karma, how it functions. In the text it says, there is one line in one of the sutta where it says, those people who practice dharma sincerely, they will suffer terribly. So still, are you prepared to practice? Did you hear what I said? Those people who sincerely practice dharma will suffer and suffer terribly. Huh? Why? Because all the results of your past negative deeds are now ripening, finishing. And those people who seems really doing all the bad things still seems to be enjoying. They are people like who had just taken the little amount of money they have in the bank and throwing it and having fun. Now there is no bank balance left. Something like that. So it's not easy to understand, but it is like that. Second, the increasing nature of karma. From small positive deeds arises great happiness, while small negative deeds may bring intense suffering. The development of internal karma is different from the nature of external karma. Therefore, with faith in the fact that every positive or negative action can bring great happiness or sadness, like a shadow. Having read this in the book, I do repeated flying. So when I fly, when the aeroplane is about to land, then I watch the shadow. When it's really flying very high, you don't see the shadow. But that doesn't mean the shadow is not there. As soon as it comes closer to the ground, you see the shadow. So like that, the result of what you do follows you wherever you go. Sadness like a shadow, we should engage in positive deeds, however small they may be, and abandon negative deeds. So when it comes to doing good things, don't say this is small, it doesn't matter. Do it. Be it reciting mantra, be it saying nice word, whatever, do it. When it comes to negative things, don't do it, even if it's small. Okay, very, very important. Be very careful. Karma that is not created has no result. If one does not do anything that will cause suffering or happiness, then there never will be have experience of suffering or happiness caused by that action. Karma created will not go waste. All positive and negative actions will bring forth pleasant or unpleasant results. It will not be lost somewhere. Right? Then contemplating individual karma. This has two parts. Explaining primarily the 10 parts of action. Somebody asked, yes, it is here. Establishing actions and their result. Explaining primarily the 10 parts of action. I'm glad that you asked this question because many people talk about many big things but don't pay attention to this. This is really the most important practice that we need to do. Avoid the 10 negative parts, negative actions and cultivate the 10 positive actions. Explaining primarily the 10 paths of actions. In general, there are 3 doors to committing good and bad. That means, whether it's positive or negative, you do it either through body, through speech, through mind. These 3 are called 3 doors, the outlets, gateways through which you express. Although the entire range of positive and negative actions of these 3 doors is not encompassed in the 10 paths of action, the Buddha condensed the general negative deeds. Now, this 10 negative deeds doesn't mean that it is comprehensive and all the negative deeds are there. These are some of the grosser points. For example, in Christianity we have how many? 7 cardinal sins. 7 only. In Buddhism we have 10. Now if you read why 7, there are many more. Why 7? The Greek-Orion, the priest or whatever call it, when he summarized, he put it in these 7 cardinal sins. Because number 7 is something which is not too, numerous or too little, which people are easily able to remember. So therefore 7 and 8, 9, 10, not too many. If that's the reason. Therefore, with faith in the fact that Although the entire range of positive and negative actions of these 3 doors is not encompassed in the 10 paths of action, the Buddha condensed the general negative deeds or sources of evil actions into the 10 most serious harmful acts. Seeing that the abhorrence of the 10 generates great merit, he has taught the 10 positive deeds. Therefore, understanding the 10 negative actions, their results, we should engage physically, mentally, or verbally in the 10 positive deeds, without being tainted by the negativity, even in our motivation. This was taught by the victorious one over and over again as the essential basis of the path of all 3 vehicles and the temporary and ultimate benefit of sentient beings. Establishing actions and their result. This is 3 parts. Negative actions and result, positive actions and result, other divisions of action. Negative actions and their result. This is 3 parts. The actual, so I am not going to read everything, just go straight. The actual part of negative actions. For each of the 10 negative actions to become truly negative, there must be a basis. Now you should know this very carefully. For each of the 10 negative actions to become truly negative, completely negative, truly means completely negative, it has to have, number 1, a basis towards which you commit negative deeds. Then the intention to commit negative deeds. Then the actual action. And then the finality, consummation.
Something about intention, because in the book here, this one,
Yeah.
it says the intention, there are 3 components to intention: the motivation, the will, wanting to do something which can be positive, negative, or neutral. This motivation can be very subtle, even subconscious.
Where are you
And
reading?
then it says the motivation.
You are reading a different book.
No, I know. It says the motivation needs to have some delusion mixed in with it.
What?
The motivation needs to have some delusion mixed in with it.
Yeah. So like this. Let me read this.
Okay.
Let me read this and explain this. I hope it will become clear. So for each of these 10 negative actions to become truly negative, there must be, number 1, basis must be there. For example, in terms of killing, there should be a person or animal to be killed. That is the basis. Number 1. Then intention means the wish to kill that sentient being. Then after that you take knife or your gun or stone, whatever, and kill that person, the action. And then finally you enjoy, okay, I done the job. I eliminated him. So that is consummation stage, completion. So if you employ all these 3 methods, the 4 methods, then that is truly negative karma, where the preparation is perfect, actual is perfect, completion is perfect, so that becomes a perfect, negative karma. Killing, harsh words, and harmful intents are initiated by. Okay, so let me explain this a little bit. Now, for example, if you want to kill somebody, okay, so the person is there, of course. Then you want to kill that person. You're very angry, then you say, I will kill that person. Then you took a cup of tea, made a nice friend, you change your mood, let him change a little bit. You say, oh, I was thinking about that person. I was thinking about killing that person, which is really not good. Okay, no, I'm not going to kill you. So you did some negative thing, because the object was there, you wished to kill him was there, but then you changed. The consummation will not be there. Actual killing will not be there. So that is negative, but it is much lighter. Like that. So similarly with the positive actions also, there will be basis, there will be motivation, there will be action, then there will be dedication or whatever. Killing, harsh words, and harmful intent are initiated by three afflictive emotions. And now, how this three afflictive emotions means? Three afflictive emotions means attachment, hatred or anger, and ignorance. So now, with these 10 negative actions, in the case of killing, in the case of harsh word, using harsh word, and harmful intent, wish to harm, these three are initiated by three afflictive emotions. Initiated by all the three afflictive emotions and completed by hatred. In the case of stealing, sexual misconduct, and covetousness are initiated by three afflictive emotions and are completed by attachment. Presence of attachment is stronger. Then lies, slander, and gossip are initiated by all three and are also completed by all three afflictions. The wrong view is initiated by the three of the emotions and it is completed by ignorance. In this case, intentions are action, not the path of the action. The 7 negativities of body and speech are actions as well as the path of the action, for they arise through the mind. The remaining 3 negativities, including covetousness, are more paths of action and not action. Paths of action means through which you committed action. Okay? Then different, any question? Was it tough?
What's the difference between internal and external?
Louder.
Internal and external karma?
Yeah.
How do you explain this?
External karma, where is it? Where is it? I don't remember reading something external karma and internal karma.
Never mind, I'll look it up and then ask you tomorrow.
Basically, karma is done by body, speech and mind. So then, thereby you might say external karmas are those committed by body and speech, and internal maybe mind. But I didn't see such use of word.
And is karma working like
Or in other words, external karmas are karmas created by people outside of you. I don't know. Yeah.
And is it like you do something bad and then something bad will happen to you?
Yeah.
And then it's like calculated, or does it go on? Like if you do something bad and then you do something
Then you
bad?
experience the result.
Yes.
But it's not necessary that you continue to experience it forever, no.
So there's just one result?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending upon the next point, there is the next point that we are reading, different weights of actions. Some karmas are very light, some karmas are very heavy. So different weights of the 10 paths of action. There are 5 different ways of weighing negative actions. If an act is...
Could you just have a question about the previous part? So the last part in the lie, slander and gossip. Yeah. So to take lie, for example, I understand why you lie from attachment. If you want to get something, for example, out of it. And if you want to deny something, same. But for ignorance?
For ignorance?
Yeah.
For ignorance, What was the question?
So if you complete the action, so the source of the action is any of the three, right?
Yeah.
So the end of the action, if the end of the action, the completion is ignorant.
Yeah.
And lie, for example,
Yeah.
what kind of action is it de facto?
Yeah. So wrong view when you're asking about the wrong view.
Maybe I'm asking about like so again for lies, if I lie to gain something, then it's clear. If I lie to deny something I did, then it's clear, it's aversion, right? But for ignorance, it's not clear to me what would be lying for ignorance or
lying out of ignorance.
Not out of, sorry, for like in the completion of
lying due to ignorance.
Example of ignorance.
What?
Ignorance. Sorry,
Example of ignorance or blaming other people for what happened.
I wasn't able to.
With a lie, there are many different types of lie. White lie, black lie. White lie means to save the life of somebody. For example, if a hunter is chasing a deer and the deer ran in front of me, and then the hunter comes and it is, have you seen the deer? I said, oh, I don't know, I really don't remember. I thought something went, but I don't know which direction. Something like that. So that is to save the life of the animal, that is white lie.
That's ignorance, as an example for...
That is not based on ignorance. That's not based on ignorance. Then, lie basically, I think, deep down ignorance is there. For all negative actions, deep down ignorance is there. But the immediate cause for lying is not ignorance. It is normally intentionally. Lie means you say something intentionally. When you know something, you say, I don't know. When you don't know something, you say, I know.
And I think it's what ignorance is referring to wrong view.
No, it is completed by all three afflictions. All three.
Yeah, all three afflictions means hatred, ignorance. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, deep down.
So ignorance is always valid. Like ignorance, like here it said that due to hatred. So hatred also ignorance.
Because you don't see the negative results of lying as ignorance. Because if you don't have the ignorance, then you will not lie. Because you know, by lying I will earn the negative result.
But you will also not hate. Right?
Huh?
But you will also not hate, right?
Yes.
And here it says, like for the killing, I think, it says only completed by hate.
Which one? Lies, slander,
killing,
all three, and also completed by all the three afflictions.
Yeah, killing completed by...
Killing, hatred, completed, yes, completed.
What is it completed by ignorance?
No, it's not completed. It is initiated by ignorance.
Always.
Always.
Yes.
But completed by hatred.
Right.
Because you do the killing, not of... That's why I was saying, deep down, the primal, almost like primal cause is ignorance. But what directly motivates to kill is hatred. So it completes the job, that's the meaning.
So what is completed by ignorance? Or completed by... It's
completed means you do the final killing out of hatred.
But by ignorance.
No.
No, for the lies it says completed by all three. But for the lies, like
completed means, for example, you remember there's this object, to be killed, then there is this intention to kill, okay, then there's action, then completion means finally thinking, I just did it, that's completion. So now in the case of killing, in terms of action, it's really the hatred which is the main factor which does the killing. So therefore it is said is completed by hatred.
Right, but for the lying, it says completed by all
No,
three.
it doesn't. You're not listening. Just read the sentence before it.
Lies,
Then
slander, and
read it.
gossip are intended by all three and are also completed by
Oh,
all
yeah,
three.
I got your
Great.
point.
Boom.
Lies, slander,
Then
gossip.
the next thing is another idea. The next sentence is another idea.
Wrongful is ignorance, yeah, but it's still, yeah, we can ignore like the sentence.
Yeah,
Right?
but no, you're not ignoring it. You're just like eluding those two things, and I don't think they can do that. But why is wrong view a negative action? How?
Now you have very nicely cornered me. But not just you, all of you. I need to read the text a little bit more. Come back tomorrow. And come with me the big heavy book and see what is said there. Okay? I'm unable to answer this right now. Okay? This is the best way to solve the problem.
That's what Trump says every time he asks something. Donald Trump forgets everything.
So even if that big book doesn't give the answer, then I don't know. So we need to find it out. There must be a reason, yeah. I am unable to think right now. Okay? The different weights of 10 parts of action. There are 5 different ways of weighing negative actions. If an act is heavy in terms of thought, this means that the agent was possessed by intense afflictive emotions. If it is heavy in terms of action, the agent takes satisfaction and joy in committing the act themselves or in inciting others to do it. Heavy in terms of having no remedy means that the agent has no regret regarding the act and takes no joy in virtue states. Heavy in terms of preferring wrong views means that the agent does not consider the 10 non-virtuous deeds to be wrong. Heavy in terms of the being that is the basis of the act means that the act was committed against the agent's parents, those they are close to, or the learned ones and teachers. And heavy in terms of substance, there was the basis of the act means that the act involved good and numerous substances, inferior and poor substances of those things that have been offered to the 3 jewels. This is also not so easy to digest, right? This part also difficult. That's why I suggested to take this book. You see?
I would read.
Yeah, and then if I don't know whether you have it or not, but this is just outline, so it doesn't explain everything so clearly. But this is very, very helpful. Then there is what we call as the 3 volumes of the great stages of by Dzongkhapa. They are a little bit costly, but they are available. If you are really interested, then buy these 3 volumes, all the 3 volumes. You can buy it. Yeah.
You said earlier that you can't cheat the law of karma.
Yeah.
But my understanding is some practitioners engage in what's called purification practices to sort of dampen the impacts of negative karma. Isn't that trying to sort of subvert
It's
the law
not
of
cheating.
karma?
That's not cheating.
But if it's a law,
purification.
yeah. So how does that work?
How did? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got your point. This also actually we read later. There is a practice called the four opponent powers. Again, it's very complex. I don't have all the answers. Because that says, as far as I remember, however negative a karma is, if you want to purify it, you can purify it by resorting to the 4 remedial powers. That's a heavy subject. So that your question comes there, whether we can really purify it or not. Now in this case, it's like this. For example, if a karma, heavy negative karma, has already projected the fruit, it's already ripened, so we may not be able to reverse it. For example, if I'm born blind, already the result is ripened. Probably there's nothing much I can do. Maybe the surgery, you put some new eyes, I don't know. Again, if that is done, then again you can caution, you see. But generally speaking, generally speaking. But then others, it's like taking poison. If you take poison, then if you regret that I made a mistake, I took poison, and then immediately rush to the hospital, you can be cured. Something like that. Okay? Any other questions?
Can you explain the four opponent part?
It will come later. It will come later. If
what-
I teach all of this right now, I have nothing to teach tomorrow. 3.5 more days. What should I do then? Yeah.
So I'm a little curious about the relation. I'm curious about the relationship of. Sorry, my accent is very strong. The relationship of enlightenment, emptiness, and karma.
Relationship?
Between enlightenment,
Enlightenment.
emptiness, and
Emptiness,
karma.
karma, yeah.
So my question is, when you realize emptiness, that is understanding that everything is interconnected, you get enlightenment by cutting off the connections, so the karma that you generate doesn't affect the samsara anymore.
Yeah, true. True.
Yeah?
True. Because the root cause of samsara is ignorance. Root cause of samsara is ignorance. Ignorance is not just lack of knowledge, it is misconception of reality. Misconception of reality can be rectified by a conception which sees the reality as it is. So that is the wisdom, understanding emptiness, which becomes direct antidote. You can remove it. Okay? The point that you should not hear is liberation and complete enlightenment. If you, in order to achieve liberation or nirvana, just nirvana, you need to remove the root of suffering, ignorance, the seed, not necessarily the imprint. Again, I'm inviting trouble, I know. When you reach enlightenment, you have not only removed suffering, the cause of suffering, but also the seeds and the imprints. Habits, bad habits also, completely removed. And then for complete enlightenment, you need not only wisdom, understanding, emptiness, you also need bodhicitta, the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Both are necessary. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask a general question.
Yeah.
How I know if I'm doing negative or positive thing?
How do you know?
For example, in life, how I know it's okay to lie?
If what you are doing brings a lot of unhappiness, problem to others, it's negative. If what you are doing brings happiness and peace and harmony to others or to yourself, that is positive.
For example, if I cheat with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
I need to lie on her to
Yeah.
bring happiness to her.
You bring happy, you become happy. So by cheating her, you
No, when I cheat on her, it was bad, but when I lie to her, it's good.
For you, yeah.
That's scary. She will not be sad.
Huh?
She will not be sad.
I didn't hear properly.
I say, if I don't tell her, she will not be sad.
Acha, okay. Okay. Yeah, that is temporarily okay. But long term it will not work because you are practicing duplicity, right? So you need to put many patchworks to hide. That's why they say the goodness of telling truth is so that you don't have to remember. You always say the same thing, true. The bad thing with telling lie is sometimes you don't remember what kind of lie you made. and then you contradict what you say later on. So you need to put a lot of patchworks. So that is not good. So that is not good.
What about the example?
But, in order to, for example, everybody sleeps, everybody makes mistake, right? Everybody makes mistake. But deep down, you really have a lot of respect and love to your girlfriend, you want to live with her, the big thing is there. But still, you are a human being, somewhere you slipped, made a mistake. But because of this mistake, you don't want to sever that bigger, good relationship, so therefore you hide. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. It's like killing one person to save 100 people.
Use this as an excuse.
Then yes, but you can't you use excuses,
So what is Buddha's definition of sexual misconduct?
Sexual misconduct means having sex with those other people who is not your husband, not your wife.
But isn't marriage a social construct? Isn't marriage itself a social
Everything
construct?
is social construct.
Yeah, so...
so the reason that we have this social construct is so that there is harmony, happiness in the society. So therefore the Buddha clearly said the worldly things are extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Right?
Yeah.
Okay?
I have a question about the concept of boundaries and decision making in Buddhism. So we talked yesterday about the idea of having unlimited compassion for everyone, but the fact is also that we as humans have limited energy every day. So how do we decide when to help others, when to help ourselves? And the second question is...
First question, let me deal with it. These days, many nurses and doctors, they are suffering from compassion fatigue, or work fatigue, whatever you call it. This is not to say that doctors and nurses have no concern for others or things like that. They are professionally trained. So they work very hard. But they have their professional expertise. They work very hard. That doesn't mean they really have deep down love and compassion to the sick people. And sometimes the sick, people, they also misbehave. Sometimes they might beat you. And then the doctors and nurses lose their patience, they get tired, they're not able to work. So now these days there are many nurses and doctors, they are dropping out from their profession because of work fatigue. Then it is found that after several weeks of training in compassion to those people, they are able to go back and work. So the point that I'm making is, you should know when to work, when to take rest. You are not a Buddha. As you rightly mentioned, your energy is limited. And especially your energy will not function, even if you have some reserve of energy, but it will not function if there is reluctance in what you are doing. It happens all the time. I experience that this. For example, sometimes when I meet very strange people, just by that meeting I get headache. It's the way things are, you see? Really. And then for some people which you like, you sit with them over a cup of tea and you yak and just, talk. For hours you don't get tired. Why? Because you like them. You enjoy. So whenever you really feel tired, reluctant, change the subject. Take rest. Energize yourself. So that's why the other day I mentioned the best way to take care of others is take care of yourself. Unless you take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? It's not just you. And I have this personal experience. Personal experience means when I was young, I went to school. As a refugee, I really had no idea where my parents are. For several years, I did not know where they are. Then finally they connected us. So I spent like 11 years studying in the school. Then after that, I came to the Institute of Buddhist Analytics here, studying here another 16 years. So in those days, I used to think, okay, now I'm studying, I studied 12 years, 11 years there, 16 years, still I'm studying. I'm not able to do anything to repay kindness of my mother and other relatives. I used to think like that. But I was very good in my study, committed and enjoying. Then later on I realized that many of my other cousins and others who stay with their parents, sometimes they help their parents, sometimes the parents have to help them because they also get sick. In my case, they don't have to worry about me, at least. And then gradually later I become His Holiness translator, my relatives, friends, everybody was so happy. So the point I'm making is, sometimes if you do the right thing, that itself is doing good to others, repaying the kindness to others. That's exactly what Buddha did. He left his beautiful wife and son and his father, mother, everybody. They ran away. From ordinary parlance, this is not right. Right? But then he said, in order to help all of you, all sentient beings, I really need to go away and energize myself and study and contemplate. Then I'll come back to help all of you. So this is a long-term vision. But again, you should not make any excuses. Yeah.
Does the karma ripen during your same lifetime and future lifetimes?
Depends upon the heaviness and lightness of karma, as we mentioned. One person, just one individual commits so many karmas. So which one will first give the fruit, result? So it is said those karma which are heaviest and which you have done recently, they will bear the fruit first. That doesn't mean that other karmas, they will not bear the fruit.
It's also written somewhere that our virtuous karma can be destroyed by anger.
Yes. There's one, in fact, there's one line from Shantideva where it says, all your good practices like, practice of generosity, making offering to the Buddha, all these good things that you might have done for thousands of eons can be destroyed by one moment of anger. This should not be taken as a literal. Of course, then if these things happen, then there is no law of causality, no infallibility of law of causality. But this simply shows the great destructive power of anger. Yeah.
Somebody over there has been waiting to ask a question.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have a question about karma as well. So is it more like this one pot of karma and the good deeds can cancel out the bad ones? Is it like one pot of karma or two pots of karma, so karma with positive and negative deeds? So if it's one, then the good deeds will cancel out the bad ones.
Is the question clear?
If the good
negative karma cancel out the positive karma? Will the negative karma cancel out positive karma and vice versa?
Oh, that's what we have been discussing. If you have committed a negative karma, it can be nullified or reduce its intensity by doing positive karma. Like for example, regret, as I mentioned. Just like having taken poison, if you regret over what the wrong things you have done, then more importantly, if you stop doing the same thing again, that will purify the karma. Yeah.
Sometimes people do some certain things because from a good intention, because they think they love someone, but in fact that might cause suffering to the others.
Yeah, true.
I'm wondering, will the effects lie on the intentions of the result they cause from the action? and how to recognize our quality.
So that's why we need wisdom, not just intention, but that's why you need to know whether this particular action is going to help them temporarily, help them long run, help them in this life, help them in many lives. You have to think about all this. So that's why wisdom is so important, not just compassion. Compassion is almost like blind. It is to be guided by the wisdom. Okay?
Is that our mind affects our dreams? How mind affects our dreams?
How your mind affects your dream? Number one, the so-called experiences that you are experiencing right now is a dream. It's a dream. So in the waking state, what you do in the morning is a dream. That affects the thing that you experience after lunch, another dream. This is how it affects each other. Right? Now to be more clear, when you do something, not everything that you do comes in the dream. When you do something which is really exciting or something horrible, things like that, something that really makes an impact on your mind, that comes back again in the dream. For example, if you want to taste this, then in the day you should really fight with somebody, really become violent and angry and heat, break his nose or whatever, do something really violent. It's almost 100% sure you will do the same thing. When you are asleep, you will get a dream of fighting again. Because that dream has left a very strong imprint. So therefore we are talking about the completion of negative karma. If you really do a strong negative karma, the result will be quick. Huh?
I have a question. If your ancestors accumulated a lot of negative karma, and then is it possible for one person to be able to clear that from the lineage if they do a lot of positive karma?
What do you mean by lineage?
Like if your ancestors, if you kind of absorbed a lot of negative karma from your ancestors.
Now when we talk about purifying one's own karma, you can purify your karma, not the negative karmas done by your relatives and ancestors, no. Just like your eating food does not fulfill their stomach.
Even if they did it to you, say they did negative karma to you, but you have compassion and love and forgiveness for them.
No, that will enhance your positive qualities, but not purify their negative karma. Because it is something that they have done, not you.
How do you help them?
Huh?
How do you help them then?
You can help them if they are ready to listen. You can tell them, okay, listen. I'll give you a short Dharma teaching. I went to Dharamsala, I know this. Okay. If they are for the time being not ready to listen, then wait for a moment when they are listening. Because you can't, tell things to people when they are not ready. That's what I do all the time when I deal with my staffs and others. I look for their mood and temperament, I should say this, not say this, are they busy, not busy, things like that. So it has to be the right time, and when they are really happy with you, then you should tell them. That's one way. Another way is, even if they scold you, don't fight back. Show your love and compassion. Gradually they will melt, they will change. Right? So positive reactions. That doesn't mean you become, you become the doormat. You maintain your integrity, strength, but show your compassionate motivation through action. Then they will change. So there are different processes. I remember, with your question, I remember somebody asked me that somebody become a Buddhist and he become a monk. And his family members didn't like that. He wanted them to read Buddhist books. They are not reading. So he asked me, what should I do? Then I said, don't ask them to read your books. You just read books. You read books. They are there sitting. You just read your book. And then smile. Then he put it like this. When you are gone, the monkeys will come. This is the way, you see. Sometimes when you ask people to do it, they don't do. So skillful means. Skillful. Thank you. Yeah, okay, last question.
If I generate a lot of negative karma in this life, will that manifest in the next life, or is it possible that next life
depending
skipped? Like, could the next life be
possible.
like a comfortable, happy life, and then the next one would be like a terrible consequence?
You are trying to be extra clever. You want to do something and then escape. That's not possible, you know. As I mentioned earlier, if you've done something really good, you will experience that in the next life. Experience something bad, you will experience that. Then you've done many good things, many bad things, then not just next life, life after life, you know, depending upon the nature of that karma. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Just
burning.
Say next slide. Can we get consequence like negative karma in this life, or just next life?
What?
The consequence of negative karma we do in this life.
Consequence of negative karma.
Yeah. It's like we get in this life, or we can get.
That's exactly what he was asking. Similar. When you do something negative, the fruit does not have to be waited for the next life. It may come tomorrow, next year, next month, then next life, depending upon many other factors. Thank you.